He awoke late at night, feeling the strong pangs of hunger. It was one of his bad habits. He just had to have his late night or early morning snack. He checked his phone for the time. The dim screen glowed with his Star Wars wallpaper. It took a moment for his eyes to adjust. The time read 3:33 a.m. He would have to get up for work at 5:30 a.m. Great, he thought. Just enough time to grab something to eat and enjoy it. So he got out of bed and slowly headed to the kitchen to satisfy his late night hunger. Maybe I can try fit an hour of sleep in before I have to get up for work, he thought, before turning on the light. The kitchen was small, 3 by 3 meters, made of wood and painted white. He made his way over to the fridge, which was the biggest of his kind, but it showed his eye for design and practicality. He eagerly pulled the door open. "Oh, damn," he whispered to himself. He couldn't find his favorite cottage pie left over from the night before, so he grabbed some cheese instead, which was already expired. I don't care, I just want to eat." He rushed over to the kitchen drawer and brought out a butter knife. "There you are, you bloody knife," he said, talking to the knife. He placed it on the kitchen table in preparation for his sandwich making. He turned back to the counter and began to look for some bread. He retrieved the bread and turned back to the table, but when he did, he found the butter knife was soaked in blood. Suddenly, he felt a wet and irritating sensation on his right hand. Confused, he raised his hands to get a closer look. "Oh my God," he let out. His hand was gloved with red, the blood dripping from his palm. A painful scream burst out of his throat. Ah! A sudden severe pain rushed through his whole body. His hand now had a deep slice across his palm for a reason unbeknownst to him. "I need to do something," he had said, panicked. I need to fix this." He was about to escape the kitchen, but the lights in the other room were flickering on and off. But it was different. It didn't seem as though the wiring might be faulty. It seemed exactly like they were being turned on and off manually, with the audible sound of the switch. Its switching on and off gradually got faster and faster. Until finally, it stayed switched on. But the light was strange. It was dim and an unusual shade, not unlike those you'd find inside a nightclub. Someone might have thought it would be romantic to put a strange light like that in a small apartment. But there would be no romance tonight. He was terrified. Not a second later, another of the switch was heard. Darkness. Horrified, he was nailed in place and felt the blood drain from his body. He began to breathe heavily in his horrified state. All the while, things began to escalate. A loud, shrieking cry of an infant came from the sink behind him. A teenage girl laughing maniacally could also be heard in the background. He could think of no other reasonable actions to take but to follow the strange, dim light. Scared, and now shaking, he stepped towards the light. He made it to the middle of the room. That familiar sound was heard again. The dim light was off. Pitch black. Moments felt like hours. He was still standing in the middle of the room, not knowing what might happen. And within all the confusion, the teenage girl he had heard earlier made herself known. He just about made out her long black hair and grey face. She had only one eye, which glowed eerily. She was creepy and wandered around the room with broken movements, like a fly in the air, getting slowly closer and closer to him, like a lion stalking its prey. As soon as they made eye contact with one another, closed her eye, and unsettling sounds of gurgling was the last sound that came from her. That was always the last thing they heard, and the last thing she'd do. How did I know about it, you ask? I was his girlfriend. He dumped me like I was a wrecked car in a junkyard. So I had my vengeance. I did something that even Satan wouldn't dare to do. And perfectly, I might add. But now, that same creepy one-eyed girl follows me. I see her every night. In my dreams, every night.